Good morning, college football fans, and welcome to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And my oh my, do we have a great show for y'all today. It's going to be a doozy. I haven't used that one in a long time, but I'll tell you right now, it most certainly is, because this is going to be a culmination of so many seasons. And, well, certain teams' seasons, that is, this season. And, well, we get to talk about the joy of victory, the agony of defeat. I mean, cliche as it is, trust me, y'all, there's so much meaning behind that. We have some champions to crown today. My goodness, congratulations, that we already talked about last week. San Mateo defeating Riverside, destroying them. We also talked a little bit about well, actually, we gotta talk a little bit about that NJCAA championship. Well, Hutchinson was the number 1 seed going in, and the number 3 seed in the country absolutely destroyed them. Iowa Western, talk about that in just a bit. And last night in the Stag Bowl, big congratulations here. One more applause, y'all. Big congratulations to, of course, the champions this season, the North Central Cardinals, knocking off Mount Union in a very, very close game. Also today, the NAIA Championship coming up in about 30 minutes, as well as the Division II Championship coming up in about an hour and a half. Bowl season's officially underway, and there's so many good things to talk about here in college football. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned in live to the 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all IE Sports. Welcome, college football fans. Well, here we are yet again. Big ups to our boy, Mr. Aaron X, by the way. Doing a micro minute, shorter show today for the Crossroads Pod, but it's kind of cool because it worked out in our favor over here on 3 and Out College Edition, as, well, Taryn and I are able to jump on and be on for, who knows, maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on when we get done, but we certainly love what we do, and we're really excited. Pretty cool because, like I said, we're going to be live on air during the start of the NAIA Championship between Kaiser and Northwestern College coming up in just a bit. But yeah, so we have had some great games this past week, and I don't know why, so we already talked about the 3C2A championship. I don't know why, I thought Darren and I talked about that already, like on air, but we have not. Also, the NJCAA title, my goodness. 2 games that we really thought were going to be good ones, and they ended up just being total duds. Not because of the champion who was crowned didn't dominate, because they certainly did. It's because the other team really didn't bother to show up. Kind of crazy, right? But then last night, I think it was all made up for sure, by both Mount Union and North Carolina. Oh, sorry, I keep on saying, I see NC, North Carolina, North Central. And I'll tell you right now, that was an amazing game. The North Central Cardinals did it again. In 2019, they looked solid. This year, they look solid again. And hopefully we get ourselves 2 good championships today. Once again, the NAIA Championship kicking off in just under 30 minutes now. Kaiser and North Central. Can that Kaiser team, the Seahawks, that have been so mighty, they knocked off an extremely talented Morningside team, the defending champions, and away on the road in Iowa. And the very next week, they would go back up to Iowa and knock off a very good Grandview team. And, well, here they are now taking on a solid Northwestern College team. But can the Seahawks complete this task? Or will Northwestern, who has also definitely been battle tested this year, will they be the one to raise that banner? Regardless, we got a new champion today, so who will it be? And of course, in just under an hour and a half now, Colorado School of Mines. Will their journey lead them to a NCAA Division II National Championship title? Or will the champs from last year say, nah, sorry about that, y'all. Thanks for coming, but we're going back to back. Can Ferris State do it again? We'll talk about that in just a bit. Also, the FCS, we had a playoff game last night between Incarnate Word, a team that, my gosh, they have humble beginnings, starting off Division III, I believe, years and years ago. And here they are taking on North Dakota State. Well, we will talk about that game, I guess their journey, my goodness. Regardless of the result, that was an amazing journey, or is an amazing journey here for that team. And today, well, is it the day where this South Dakota team gets back to that title game, or will Montana State say, hey, we were there last year, we got embarrassed by North Dakota State, now it's time for us to get back and make it happen? So, yeah, I mean, just really quick, guys, by the way, it is what it is. The game's already been played, but Incarnate Word gave an amazing game last night, barely losing to North Dakota State, 35-32. Just amazing journey, though, for Incarnate Word. Well, who's going to get there today? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Montana State or South Dakota State there this year? And, of course, coming up in just under an hour as well, we have the Cricket Celebration Bowl. NC Central will be taking on Coach Prime's last game, coaching at Jackson State. Oh, it's going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. So many good things to talk about today. As you can see, we're ready to rock and roll. And, well, I can't get into any of this, though, fully without my boy here, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, he, of course, is host of the SoCal Spring Supporter Show. Great show yesterday. He also is the host of Set Point here on IA Sports Radio. We have the NCAA Women's, the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship coming up later on today on IA Sports Radio on Mixler. Really excited for that. And he'll be on the live call. And, of course, we have ourselves an IA Sports Radio Hall of Famer in the house and one of the COOs of IA Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming my boy, man, Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. What's going on, gentlemen? what's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Yo, Larry, it is great to be on. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. And I'm ready to talk some college football as well as a little high school football.
Oh, we can't forget about high school football. Last week we did. There was so much going on last week's show, and it's kind of funny. At the very end of it, Taryn's like, oh, we didn't get him. Like, oh, crap. And I was like, Taryn, why didn't you cut me off? I was like, well, I didn't want to cut you off. Taryn's a very respectful guy. But I was like, dude, if we're forgetting something, man, throw it in there. But yes, as a matter of fact, Taryn, let's start with that, man, because, well, we can go ahead and just end off the year, because college football now is officially in the books. High school football is officially in the books for the season, and no more football to be played. But I'll tell you, man, there was some great football this year, and I love it because we were able to talk about all of it, Taryn. We were able to start from the very beginning, talk about these cool matchups throughout the year. We kind of just really stayed in the top 10, though. Next year, I think it'd be cool to kind of venture out a little bit and kind of just, we had the little spotlight thing going on for a little bit, but I think I don't know, we should really jump on, try our best to kind of spread around everywhere. But regardless here, let me go ahead and just get through the top 10 real quick. Taryn, you can talk about any of these if you'd like. But, of course, some of these are just going to be repeats of what we talked about. And then, of course, we'll get into number one. But American Heritage, as we talked about, Taryn, weeks ago, they would fall to Central. But, my goodness, it was a great football game in the FHSAA state championship in Florida. Central would defeat American Heritage 38-31. My goodness. Number 3 defeats number 10. American Heritage, let's give them an applause, y'all. They do not need to hold their heads, man. You took on a freaking giant, all right? The number 3 team in the country. I'm just saying, you lost by 7 points in what was a hell of a game. I mean, I know I said we can just hold it till the end, but Darren, man, any comments on that, brother? That's a good game, right?
Yeah, it was a very good game, and it definitely lived up to the hype.
Where'd you go, brother? We lost you. Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a great game between both Central and American Heritage. American Heritage definitely has a lot of talent, but I think Central just had a lot more offensive firepower. They've been offensively strong and less stagnant. Their only stagnant game offensively they had was against IMG Academy. So for Central, they really came out guns a blazing. It was just a great overall game. And for them to finish the season undefeated, I know they're probably not going to be the national champion, but Central could have a decent case to be national champion, even though St. John Bosco is most likely going to get that position. But that's all up to Max, perhaps.
Yeah, well, we'll get to them in just a little bit, but I did not know this. We actually have a Texas championship going on today, Darren. Did not see this. But North Shore, hey, Duncanville is actually number 9 right now in the country from Texas. And, well, North Shore has made their way to number 8. 14-0 Duncanville and 15-0 North Shore. They'll be going head-to-head today. Pretty cool, guys. I'm sure this is it. This can't be no further than this. Yeah, looks like we have ourselves the UIL Texas Football State Championship. This is Conference 6A D1 tournament. So this is the end here, and these are the top 2 teams in Texas. So this is pretty awesome, man. We have these 2 guys going head-to-head today, and I'll tell you right now, I mean, once again, I thought it was all said and done, but I guess they're still going just a little bit. How about that, Taryn? I gotta say, Duncanville, I'm sure is battle tested, but just going off of the I don't know if you want to call it pedigree, but the history of North Shore and how well they've done this year, I'm gonna go North Shore wins this thing, but Duncanville's gonna make it a fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think North Shore is gonna probably win this one in close fashion. I would not be surprised if it was a one-score game. I really want it to be a one-score game, especially since it's a top 10 matchup between 2 teams in the state championship. So I think North Shore ekes this one out. So.
Yeah, should be quite the game, but yeah, certainly good stuff there. By the way, Mike is in the chat room here. What is going on, Mr. Mike Pat, the host of Let's One About Sports? Can we give an applause? Y'all, him and Allie welcome their second child this last past week. Congratulations to them, to the Pats, if you will. Many Pats for the Pats. And we definitely say congratulations, sir. As you guys already know, Mike and I talked about this, my gosh, I want to say June, July, but saying that, when the baby does come, he's going to be taking a few months off, looking to come back sometime in February-ish there, and Mike and I had this all planned out. So Mike is officially now on hiatus for Let's Wind About Sports, but really can't wait till he gets back. Great dude, great show, and, well, I think honestly, brother, I'm happy for your children, but I am very unhappy for your sleep coming up, I'm sure. Mike's probably like, yeah, I haven't slept for about 4 days now, but thank you for reminding me. But anyway, we just want to say, of course, everybody here at the iSports Radio family, of course, you're a huge part of it. Mr. Mike, congratulations to you, sir. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Okay. However, Mr. Mike Pat does ask, how is the St. Francis Academy doing? And, well, of course, Mike covers everything in the DMV. And, well, Mr. Mike Pat, unfortunately for the St. Francis Academy, they have dropped out of the top 10. They are now number 11. And, I mean, I can see this because it's weird. With these academy teams, it's kind of odd. They just kind of drop. I mean, they lost to the IMG Academy. Of course, the IMG Academy is now back in the top 10. But honestly, I don't know. It's weird. St. Francis Academy is another one of those open, I guess, freelance teams that are kind of like Notre Dame and BYU. I think BYU is in a conference now. But regardless, those independents, looking at you, New Mexico State. But honestly, it's just, I don't know, this is one of those things. So if they start losing or whatever, they drop quick, and it's kind of like bowl games and playoffs for Notre Dame. I mean, it's like, you better be damn good, because if not, we have nothing else to go off of, and you don't really make it. So, unfortunately for St. Francis Academy, after they lost the IMG Academy a couple weeks ago, actually last month on the 18th of November, they would drop out of the top 10. They are now, like I said, number 11. But hey, still, the St. Francis Academy Panthers still looking strong, and we'll see what they do next season. But Mike says in the chat room, yeah, sleep is a 5-letter word at this point. Yeah, pretty much is. That's all it's become, a part of vocabulary, because it sure isn't happening. It's not realistic for Mike right now. So going forward here, Darren, really quick, we already talked about number 9, and number 8 of Texas, of course, Duncanville and North Shore. They're going head to day. St. Thomas Aquinas, they have all finished up last week. Of course, they defeated Homestead 38-21. Hats off to Homestead in a great season, finishing 12-3. But St. Thomas Aquinas, the Raiders, we've talked about them all season long, Taryn, out of Fort Lauderdale. They finish off the season, ride into the sunset, undefeated, looking great. The IMG Academy, though, brother, this team, of course, would defeat St. Francis Academy. And hey, they did their thing. They've climbed up to number 6, and they're going to end their season there. In the top 5 now, Chaminade Madonna out of Hollywood, Florida. Looks like we're still playing football, Taryn. Did not know none of this. Don't even know what this game is. It might even be an exhibition. I don't know what this is, because basically Bishop Gorman already finished their season weeks ago. And a couple weeks ago, we had here, I don't know if this was like the state title or whatnot, but Chaminade Madonna already finished off their season a couple weeks ago, 48-14, with a victory over Clearwater Central Catholic, the Marauders. So I think, yeah, that was actually the championship for Florida. So kind of crazy. Bishop Gorman, I don't know who called who and said, hey, you guys down to play a game or something? But yeah, kind of weird, Taryn. I don't know if you want to try to look into that. I'm trying to right now. But Bishop Gorman apparently today is going to be taking on Chaminade Madonna. Looks like it's going to be in Vegas. But yeah, so I don't know what this is, but they're going head to head. Taryn, what do you think?
Yeah, that's quite the little matchup right there, and I that is rather odd. And there is no like national championship going on, and the two are in different states. So yeah, I will definitely look into that. But as for that St. Thomas Aquinas matchup, that was quite the matchup between those two. It was 7-7 at halftime, and then St. Thomas Aquinas turned on the gas, and the other team just sadly could not keep up. Homestead just couldn't keep up, and once they got to a 21-7 lead, St. Thomas Aquinas wasn't slowing down for anybody. So for that matchup, that was a good little matchup right there, but St. Thomas Aquinas was just too good. But I will definitely look into that Bishop Gorman Chaminade Madonna matchup.
Yeah, man, definitely a great game there, and hats off to both those teams playing in that one today. I'm not sure. I that's kind of weird how that got put together, but like I said, maybe it's a little end of the season thing where they're like, hey, we're the best team in Nevada. Let's play one of the best teams in Florida. I don't know, kind of weird, but yeah, that's how it came together, and sweet. Then of course we are.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, Larry. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but yeah, it is being played today. It's a Geico Bowl series, as Bishop Gorman does play Chaminade Madonna on ESPNU at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So, yeah, I guess it's a Geico Series Bowl. It's the state champions Geico Series Bowl. So, I guess it's like two of the best teams going at it, and I can't really elaborate on that, but I guess that's how it's supposed to be. If you have ESPNU, you're in luck. Turn on at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
That's so weird. I guess it's Geico Series Bowl. I mean, it's kind of weird. This is no disrespect, none at all to other teams, but you think like, kind of the national champions. I mean, I guess we're still waiting for the official crown from Max Prep, so we haven't seen anything yet. But really, I mean, you'd think at this point in time, I mean, number 1 in the country, maybe number 2 Mater Dei, who lost to number 1, maybe Central. Well, Central is playing, but they're playing. Actually, they're not even playing anything right now. So, I mean, like, you think about it, like, the top 3 teams, I don't know, I guess get, like, some of the top 10 teams, I guess. But I wonder who else is playing in that Geico series. But you'd think you'd have the top 3 teams at least somewhere in there. But, it's whatever.
They need to have, like, a full national championship.
Yeah, seriously, man. So, anyway, Taryn. So, yeah, brother, then we already talked about Central. They did their thing. They're number 3. Mater Dei, of course, would fall off. They would lose to St. John Bosco last month, and then St. John Bosco went on to play in the Open CIF, of course, Open Division, which is basically we talked about this before, Taryn. It was a state championship for both teams, but it was the national championship for one team. Because if Sarah would have won, well, then I guess, I don't know, maybe St. John Bosco falls to number 2, maybe, and then Mater Dei goes back up to number 1 and they're national champions. But St. John Bosco just obliterated them. It wasn't even a game, 45-0. And Sarah went back up north, unfortunately, with a loss. But that's no diss to them, though. Tom Brady's alma mater, of course, yes, that is where Tom Brady played high school. Sarah finished the season at 13-1. St. John Bosco also at 13-1, as they would take that loss from Mater Dei earlier this year. But yeah, Taryn, that's pretty much about it. 45-0, and St. John Bosco will earn another national title. At least once again, it's what we have to wait. I mean, really, we haven't seen anything being posted. I haven't seen anything, but we're already assuming that has to be it. St. John Bosco is gonna win the national title. But that's basically that. But yeah, so I mean, that's really that. Taryn, I don't know if you wanted to go over the game. It was basically just a massacre, but what you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, this one was all St. John Bosco for the most part. Nothing against Sarah, but they just ran into a major buzzsaw in the Braves, and they were coming off of a bye, and they also were coming off that big win over Mater Dei. And Jason Negro really had his team prepared. They really came out swinging in more ways than one. Now, obviously, that could be a tested to Sarah having to travel all the way from Northern California down to Mission Viejo to play at Saddleback College. But Bosco also had to do the same thing. Granted, they traveled from Bellflower all the way to Mission Viejo. So overall, it just showed that St. John Bosco was just a step ahead of the rest. And again, there could be the possibility of a future national championship, but for the time being, Bosco really emerged. I think their turning point for me this season was them losing to Mater Dei, and then Jason Negro saying we were right there with the Monarchs, but they just couldn't keep up. But in the end, Bosco won when it truly mattered the most. And honestly, you have to be proud of Jason Negro and the job he's done and all that he did this season. And they really scheduled tough. They scheduled teams out of state. They went to teams that were out of state, and they needed to be battle tested before they got into Trinity League play. So I really think St. John Bosco was prepared for the playoffs, especially Trinity League play, and I think for them, they rightfully deserve to be the national or the state champions at least. I'm fairly certain they're going to be national champions. So.
I'm right there with you, Taryn. I don't know how they couldn't be national champion. What was that?
The only team that pretty much comes close is probably Central at this point. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's deserving. It's so deserving. I mean, Bosco, it is what it is, and everyone can say what they want. And okay, well, they can recruit or whatever. But hey, the IMG Academy was literally created to play football, or to play sports. So you have teams like that. So I guess it is what it is, right? Take it with a grain of freaking salt. But whatever. It's just what they exist. They're there. I don't know. Maybe. One day, I don't know, some teams may want to, or high schools may want to do the whole, I don't know, Taryn. I think it's a good conversation to have for a few minutes. I mean, honestly, I know we got to get on to a lot more stuff. But maybe, now that the season's coming to a close, we have, Duncanville and North Shore playing today. And I think there's one more game, Bishop Gorman and Chaminade Madonna, which we'll talk about next week. But I mean, after that, I'm almost positive by Christmas high school football should be over. I mean, but realistically, Taryn, I mean, I don't know. We see this fight for the top here. I mean, we look at this. Central is an actual public school, which is crazy. So if you think about it, dude, at least from what I could see, Central actually is the best high school football team in the country. And that's public. But when you talk about private schools, I mean, Darren, come on, bro, let's be real, man. You look at the IMG Academy, you look at St. Francis Academy, you look at Mater Dei, you look at St. John Bosco. I think Bishop Gorman is a private, isn't it, Darren? It's a private school.
Yeah,
it's a private school. So, I mean, Darren, you look at all these teams at the top, and well, yeah, duh, they're going to be up there. I mean, you can recruit. I'm sure they have tons of money. And that's no diss, man. I'm not sitting here talking crap because I'm going to relate this to something, Taryn. And I want you to give me your full-on thoughts on this. Give me, of course, honesty is you do it well. But I'm just saying, I need to hear this. I need to hear this from you. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So, me personally, okay, I've never really been a fan of bodybuilding. I'm not. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a physique guy. That's not my thing. Do I respect them? You better believe it, Darren. Lou Ferrigno, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? Like, I respect Columbo. I respect those guys. Later on, Coleman, Cutler. I respect these bodybuilders, man, and a lot of them were very strong. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm more on the powerlifting side where they're much, much stronger, but they're not very physique. They're just like guys with big tummies, kind of, and they can freaking push a lot of weight. Not all of them have big tummies, have big stomachs, and then strongman, I also love strongman. I'm a big fan of strongman because, it's kind of, it's cool. It's this different kind of, it's not different kind of strength, it's just without a barbell. And I'm a really big fan of both powerlifting and strongman, more than I will ever be a fan of bodybuilding. I'm just not a fan of it. It's not really, it's cool and all, and I respect them, but it is what it is. Kind of like me with boxing and MMA. I don't really like MMA. I'm not a fan of it. I'll watch it. You know what I mean? It's not like something, but I much rather watch boxing. I was raised on it. It's what I like. I don't like going to the ground and all that. I like staying on the feet and going at it. But once again, preference. Okay. But I got to say this, Darren. Okay, that's aside from everything. Bodybuilding and powerlifting, okay, even strongman. Darren, those all have people who compete in them who are natural and non-natural. And you know what I'm talking about. Anabolic steroids. You know what I mean? Like, they juice. And it trips me out. I think bodybuilding actually has, if I'm not mistaken, bodybuilding does have like a clean and and supplements, I believe. Like you can compete where you are on roids and it's open and it's cool. Because in my opinion, it's still a lot of hard work. Because you're on steroids doesn't mean you're not working very hard. Of course you are. But at the end of the day, it's like somebody who's on steroids and somebody who's not on steroids can work extremely hard, okay? Extremely hard. One person's going to look way different. After 6 months, one person's going to look way different than the other person, and they put in the same amount of work, okay? But that's what happens, though, Taryn. You know what I mean? Like, you get a big, giant dude who, physique plays a big part into it, of course, just natural. But when you're juicing, it's a little bit different. Your arms get, like, freaking 3 times the size of your waist. I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm trying to say, Taryn. Steroids are going to help you get way, way bigger versus this other person over here who's not. And they actually do natural bodybuilding. And there's non-natural. And I think that's really cool to separate the two. In powerlifting, I don't think they do that. I think it's just all one. You got guys who are natural competing with guys who aren't natural. So, I don't know. I guess you can kind of bring that into the high school thing. Because, and this, of course, isn't talking about steroids, but what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying anything, do not quote me wrong, anyone listening to the show. I'm not saying that public schools are on steroids. No. But what I'm saying is you can replace steroids with the ability to recruit. That's like the correlation I'm trying to make here. You got guys who are juicing, competing against guys who are natural. It's the same thing where you got teams who are recruiting versus teams who aren't recruiting. And you look at the results, and Darren, you were there, dude. You were there at the Los Alamitos Mater Dei game, right? And you heard, you said you have heard some coaches talking about, it just wasn't fair, it just wasn't fair. I don't know if it was people in the audience, and I agree, Taryn, it's not fair, dude. Like, it's true. They're basically playing, like you said, a small college, or they're basically playing a college team. And it's true, man. My gosh, you get to recruit all these freaking giant middle school kids and everything, and before you know it, Taryn, gosh dang it, you're winning huge games like that, and look at all the private schools in the top 10, and I don't know, Taryn, to me, it's cool and all. We get a lot of great players coming out and everything, going to big-time schools and all that, but at the end of the day, Taryn, What do you really think? Do you think one day we're going to see a divide where it's public schools only and then private schools only? So that way we have the private school champion and the public school champion, a lot like how we should in powerlifting have like the natural powerlifters versus the guys who use steroids. There's no knock on either one. And of course, you're going to get good, strong, the guy who wins the natural powerlifting is going to put up some good weight, but the steroid guy, of course, is going to put up way more. But you get natural versus non-natural, which is it's awesome, no knock on either. And then the same thing with bodybuilding. The guys who bodybuild who are unnatural, they're freaking gigantic compared to the other guys who are natural. There's no knock on either. They both worked really hard. So it's the same thing with public and private schools. You get one team who recruited, and their teams are really really juiced. They're not okay. Taking that out of the equation, because once again, I'm not saying that anyone in high school takes steroids. I don't want that. I would hate that. I don't condone that. Has it happened? I'm sure, but once again, that's not what I'm saying here, because I'm just using it as an example. So I don't know, Taryn. Do you think we should have public schools doing their own thing one day, and then public schools doing their own way, and then public and private, or should we have the two continue to be mixed? I mean, I don't know. That was a long example. I'm sorry, Taryn, but what do you think?
I have been hearing other people agreeing with you, saying that there should be just public schools versus public schools, and then private schools having their own division and doing their thing. The thing is that what happens to some of the other smaller schools? Like, you obviously have your Mater Deis and your St. John Bosco's and the other Trinity League teams. Well, what about the other small schools? Like, what's a good example? Probably Sage Hill. Or not Sage Hill, they're 8-man. St. Margaret's, Loyola, which isn't as big as Mater Dei, St. Francis, Sarah of Gardena, and all those other private schools. Like, what's going to happen with them? I think Chaminade of West Hills is also another private school. So you put them in the mix against, and then also Aquinas as well. That's another example. You put them in the mix against those big, tough teams. You'd probably just have to divide it by division. It all depends on how many private schools there are. But with some of these private schools that have access to some of these big boy players and all these other talented facilities, and they've got these big giant facilities and whatnot, and how they're in a certain area, they kind of have a certain advantage over other schools that are fairly small. But that would be a good thing. It would be a start, a private school division, and then all the other publics could face off against one another. But I don't know. That's probably just a little bit of a big debate for maybe a bigger debate for another day. But it is what it is.
I agree, Taryn. I think the division thing, you were onto something there, because I just thought to myself, I understand that there is a lower division teams. There are still private schools that are, and there's only a couple at the top who are big monsters. But if you think about it, they all have the same tools, though. They all have the same tools. Just because, you have a smaller private school that nobody really goes to, well, then what do? You recruit. You turn that school into a powerhouse. You try really hard to turn that school into a powerhouse. And you get these players who are like, hell yeah, you know what? I've never heard of, what do you say, Taryn, St. Margaret? Or, some of these guys are like,
St. Margaret.
Yeah.
Loyola.
I've never heard of any of those schools. You have kids that are like, yeah, that'd be really cool to go there. And instead of being another chapter of Mater Dei in St. John Bosco, I want to be the one who shocks the world that can actually knock off one of those teams in 4 years of me playing here. I don't know. I'm just saying, you get some coaches there who are pretty legit, who have a good background. And I don't know. I'm just saying it's a possibility, because now you have everyone on the same page. You can't, it sucks. You can't, some of these schools are like, yeah, here you go. you can recruit. And the other schools are like, no, you're good. You can't recruit because you're public. That's not fair. But if you get everyone on the same page, where it's like public can't recruit at all. So good, cool. Let them just do their thing. Now you have the private, who it's like, okay, well, we're really small and they're really big. What do we do? Well, I don't know. You can recruit, right? Yeah. Well, freaking recruit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a little too harsh. I don't know. But it's like, at least they're on the same plane. At least they have the same arsenal. You know what I mean? At least they have the same. They can do the same thing that Mater Dei does, that St. John Bosco does. They just have to build it. So, and I don't know. I mean, you're right. The areas, the access is a little bit different. I don't know. It's kind of weird how that would work. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's definitely up for debate. Maybe we could have a really good show about that in the off season. I don't know. But yeah, Darren. With that said, brother, that's going to pretty much do it for high school. Man, we spent a lot of time on that, but it's all good. Definitely enjoyed it. We're going to take ourselves a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about 2 national championship games that were literally just almost unwatchable. And, well, we're going to recap a game last night that was all too good. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in live to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You heard the man. IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My boy Taryn Rodriguez on the drop and right here up in this show, y'all. We're talking college football. Well, we just finished up with some high school football. And now it is time to transfer on over into the college world. And Taryn, the 3C2A National Championship last Saturday. This was a game that we were anticipating so heavily. It is the first of all. I mean, realistically, there's 8. Okay, there's the high school national championship, which isn't really a championship. It's just whoever gets put number 1 in max preps at the end of it, at the end of the season, I guess. Then you get the 3C2A national championship, where that gets played on like the second Saturday usually of December. Then the NJCAA, it's been played in late November, it's been played in early December, it's been played now in the second week of December. It's just kind of weird, or third week, whatever you want to call it. And this is kind of weird however it goes. But that one's been, I think they found a good structure for that. So that was played this last Wednesday. Then we have, of course, the Stag Bowl, which we're going to talk about. That was played last night, the Division III National Championship. Then coming up, and actually what just started right now, the NAIA National Championship is officially underway. Then we have here, that gets played usually around this time. Then we have the Division II National Championship. That's 6 already. That's also played today. Then coming up, usually the first week of January, the first weekend, the FCS National Championship. That's the 7th. And then, of course, the big one, the College Football National Championship with all the big D1 single A schools. That's 8. So if you think about it, Taryn, we're already 4 through 8, man. We've already got the halfway point of national championships, basically. And, well, let's go ahead and start off with last week. Taryn, it's something that you and I don't really want to talk about too much, but we have to. That's just the nature of the business, right, Taryn? We got to talk about things sometimes we don't want to in the sports world. And, well, here's one of them. Last week, the Riverside Tigers headed on up to San Mateo to take on the San Mateo Bulldogs, or College of San Mateo Bulldogs. And, well, Taryn, it was about as one-sided as it gets. I was sitting here watching the game with Cecilia, and I was just getting more and more disgusted by the moment. I couldn't believe that was actually happening. It was very frustrating for me seeing this San Mateo team just run all over Riverside. Riverside looked out of gas. Riverside looked like they just kind of I don't know, brother. They just didn't want to be there. I don't know what was going on. I don't want to say that Coach Kraft got out coached, because that's my old coach, man. But at the end of the day, I don't know what happened, man. They got destroyed. That's all there is to it. There's no other way to say it. There's no nice way to say it. San Mateo beat the hell out of them, man. 55-0. It wasn't even close. At the start of the game, it was a beatdown, dude. I mean, that's all there was to it. From the very start of the game, I think San Mateo ran one. It showed in the opening kickoff. San Mateo ran this thing like past midfield for a great field position. They scored. They got some turnovers, I think, early. They kept on scoring. It was like 20. Taryn, maybe you have the stats up. I don't. But it was like freaking 28-0 already in the first quarter, or freaking, at least that's what I felt like. It was really sad. And at the end of the day, they didn't let up. They knew what happened a couple years ago. They were there, at least, maybe not all those guys, maybe like a couple, but in 2019, man, some of those players remember, and those coaches remember, Riverside went up there and won their first national championship since 1989, and it sucks. Riverside would go back the next year, which of course no COVID year, but in 2021, Riverside would lose to Frisco. That was in Bakersfield, I believe, and Riverside would lose to City College of San Francisco, and then this year, going back a third time in 4 years, and got destroyed. So it kind of like scares me, because I'm not doubting Coach Kraft, I'm not doubting their recruiting, but I am kind of worried, because is that it? Is that the Riverside legacy? I mean, Kraft is always going to bring in great players, and I hope he sticks around for a while. But in the event that he retires, or in the event that he because I don't know, players aren't trying to go there no more. I mean, I wouldn't think that, but was that it? Is that the last hoorah? Is Riverside going to go back to this like mediocre team? And now we're going to be talking about, who knows, other teams from the South playing the North. I mean, have the tides really changed? Are they going to? I don't know. Those are just questions that I kind of freak out on a little bit, but I don't know, Taryn. Let's go ahead and talk about this game, brother. And what do you think about Riverside's future?
Well, before I do that, one reason why San Mateo was able to beat Riverside was because they ran the ball effectively. And in case you don't know, in case for some of you that didn't know, there were rainy conditions that were being played in this game. This game was being played at San Mateo, and honestly, the rainy conditions, you had to run the ball well. And I think San Mateo is a very good running team, and it showed on the opening kickoff. And I really don't think that Riverside was ready for this ground pound attack. And while San Mateo does have a great defense, I didn't think their offense was going to be that explosive because they obviously had their ups and downs. They obviously got off to a slow start in the Northern Championship game or the Northern Regional Championship game, whereas Riverside, that has been averaging 30 plus a game, they have always been a high scoring team. But Riverside unfortunately ran into a brick wall in San Mateo's defense. And I don't know, maybe the rainy conditions just really just flattened their passing game, or maybe they just didn't have the right idea in terms of running the ball. But they should have probably adapted to San Mateo's run attack or adapted to the weather. I mean, it's nothing you want to see if you're a Riverside fan. And I basically said this is obviously the worst the toughest moment for Riverside's kids in terms of their sports career, but it's not the toughest event that it's not the worst day for them in terms of their entire lives. They've got a lot of great future ahead of them, and overall, it was just their quarterback. I don't want to rag on this guy. I don't want to rag on Jake Retzlaff, but obviously, throwing the ball in rainy conditions is not the best thing, and it kind of showed with some of his picks. And I hate to rag on him, but it could have been a whole lot better. And the Riverside's running yards leader was Donovan Harvey, who had 39 rushing yards, whereas San Mateo's had 232, courtesy of Ezra Maleni. So it really just showed that San Mateo knew what to do in these conditions, and they knew they had to run the ball effectively. And San Mateo's rushing yards to Riverside's rushing yards were, get this, 379 to 156. And Riverside didn't even dominate time of possession. And I understand, and something else that happened is that San Mateo won the turnover battle as they forced 5 turnovers from Riverside. And again, it's nothing against Riverside. Obviously, tough to win in rainy conditions, tough to win when your passing attack is neutralized because of rain. But you have to adapt to your opponent's game plan really well. Otherwise, you're going to be at the mercy. I know you're traveling from Riverside all the way up to Northern California, but you still have to be ready and prepared for things like that. And I just didn't think that Riverside adapted well to San Mateo's game plan. And I think that's how San Mateo won. And this is San Mateo's first ever national championship. And Larry, I hate to bring this statistic up, but this was the first shutout in the 3C2A football championship since the first time the 3C2A had a football state championship. So, according to what I saw here, maybe I'm, which back in the day, Fullerton beat American River 41-0. So, I'm sorry if I have to bring that up, but this was the widest margin of victory, and it was the second shutout in 3C2A football's national championship history. So I really feel bad for Riverside because I picked them, you picked them, but I think San Mateo just had a better game plan for them, and unfortunately Riverside got down by so much that they couldn't run the ball. They had to throw the ball because that would take time off the clock. So it's a bummer for Riverside, but for those kids that are returning, they have extra motivation in the tank. And then for the players that are leaving and moving on, well, good luck with your future. Don't hang your heads too low. You're the best team in Southern California, and nobody can really take that from you.
Absolutely, Taryn. Well said. Still sucks, still hurts. You're right. The passing attack can definitely be, I like that, neutralized by the rain and conditions. And I watched it. It was very wet. It did rain at some points of the game. I think it was just kind of rough, and there's no excuses though. It is what it is. San Mateo made it happen. Riverside didn't. I mean, it sucked. And yeah, first shutout since the first game. That's crazy. Since the first ever 3C2A championship. It was a bummer. I hate it. It sucks. But for San Mateo, getting on to them, though, congratulations to y'all, ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 3C2A National Champions, the San Mateo Bulldogs, y'all. Congratulations. Much deserved. Very earned. Won in dominant shutout fashion. And congratulations to those guys, man. They did it. They made it happen, and it just goes to show you resilience. You know, they had a goal, and they did it. They came, they saw, they conquered. You know, whatever you want to say, they did their thing, and congratulations to them on a very great season. They did their thing, and they were undefeated. They played ball. They played damn good, and you know what? They earned it. And what more can you do? A lot of these guys are heading on up now to play for some major colleges, and well, we'll see where they go. But with that said, also this week, Darren, another game that was very similar. Once again, we always say the 3C2A and the NJCAA are they're sisters. You know, it's just that there's so many freaking junior colleges in California that it just couldn't be possible to be all in the NJCAA. So yeah. In the NJCAA, we had our national championship this past Wednesday night. Really weird game, really weird, very, very weird day for a national championship. But they get played. Well, it gets played in Taryn, the number 3 Western Iowa Reavers, dude, or Iowa Western, that is. Wow! Congratulations to them, man. I mean, what more do you say? They done went off, and congratulations on on a great season. Just something that you're super, you want to be super excited about for these guys, and they made it happen, man. This is actually the second national championship they've ever won in the history of the NJCAA, and kind of crazy. It's the first time since, I believe, 2012. So they did it 10 years ago. And, well, they would defeat Bethune out of Kansas, I believe. Wow, what a way to do it. Or Butler, not Bethune, sorry. Butler out of Kansas 10 years ago. And they did it. They freaking did it in shutout fashion. Dominated. Freaking 31-0. They dominated this game, and congratulations to them, because what a great season for those guys. And how about that, man? They were able to pull it off, and the Reavers looked strong. They finished off the season looking great, and like I said, from the number 3 seed, they did it. Hutchinson had no answer whatsoever all day. The Blue Dragons just balled out. The Reavers balled out, and the Blue Dragons just did not have it. It's just crazy to see how this team played so well all season long. They were undefeated, and they just couldn't make it happen. So, what do you think about that one, Taryn? Another shutout, right, in junior college?
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing. Iowa Western got off to a 17-0 start. They could have gone up 20-0, but they missed a late field goal, which could have put them up by 20. But you have to give it up to Iowa Western's defense. They really came up big. For Hutchinson, their defense kind of arose in the second quarter, and they needed to. Otherwise, this game would have been just as ugly as the previous one. So overall, for Iowa Western, I think getting off to a fast start really blustered. I think that's the word to use. It really blustered Hutchinson, and they just couldn't get their game going. And I don't know what happened with Hutchinson. Maybe it's that they just couldn't. They just, once again, they didn't have the offense to keep up with the defense, and vice versa. But you have to give it up for Iowa Western for being a giant killer, for handing them their only loss of the season. And it's no knock on Hutchinson, but Iowa Western, they just came to play.
Absolutely, Taryn. Hutchinson did not have it. They just did not have it. It was not there. And excuse me. Well, what do? You know, you play till you can't play no more. And well, the time ran thin, and that was it, man. So congratulations. That team was very strong. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the 2022 NJC AA National Champions, the Iowa Western Reavers. Very, very, very good season. And, you know, what do you do?
Looks like Iowa Western, sorry to cut you off. Look, they ran the ball more effectively than Hutchinson did as well as, oh my goodness. It looks like Hutchinson almost had negative rushing yards. They had three players. Well, in Hutchinson's defense, their quarterback got sacked a few times, and he had negative 29 rushing yards. And I'm trying to do the math correctly. It looks like they had 12 rushing yards overall to Iowa Western, who had over 200, if not maybe 300. So Iowa Western running the ball was more effective. And even though Iowa Western had a passing touchdown, they just were more effective. And it just really showed in this game. So sorry to cut you off there, Larry. That was just something I saw in the box score. And it was just something that kind of intrigued me.
It's all good, man. Yeah, that was a very, very one-sided game. And, well, Taryn, it's just one of those things, right? You chalk it up to a loss for Hutchinson. They did not play anywhere near as well as they should have, and it is what it is, you know. They got beat, man. They got beat, and it is what it is, right? I mean, what do you say? What do you do? Congratulations, though, once again, like I said, Iowa Western balled out. They did their thing, and they looked great. So, okay, really quick discussion on this. My boy Michael King, man, big shout out to him. He's been a big player, what do you call it? He's a great friend of mine, and him and I, of course, met for playing for the Warriors, the Southern California Warriors. Unfortunately, the team has folded and everything. We talked about that last year, but I'll tell you what, man, it's crazy because him and I both played at RCC at different times. He played there right before I did, and he left and went on to play for, I think it was Northern Iowa, and UNI, and then I went on to play for ULV. But he was pretty cool, really cool guy we met playing for the Warriors, and you know, him and I both, like, we always talk about RCC and everything because we knew some of the same guys and and everything. And RCC, he texted me the very next day and was like, dude, or this last past week, he was like, dude, RCC got blown out. I'm like, I know, right? And he's like, man, that sucks. I'm like, I know. We were talking about it. And he's like, honestly, though, bro, he's like, I'm just going to tell you like this, man. He's like, after you've been doing for 5 months, basically what's normally or what's kind of supposed to be just a 3-month process, it starts to wear on you. He's like, a lot of these guys got their scholarships already. A lot of these guys are already moving out, you know, already getting ready to leave and everything. So I guess it is what it is. And, you know, I understood that. But then I told him back too. I was like, yeah, but dude, like, it sucks because these players at RCC, man, let's just be real. The same thing we just talked about, Taryn, with high school. You know what? That 3C2A championship might be the only championship they ever win. They can go on, you know, and play for this big school for a couple of years, and that's it. That's it. They're done. They may not ever get to the pros. They may get there, and they might be just like a bench warmer for a little bit. And you know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying, Taryn, is why not give your all in a game like that? And again, I'm not trying to say make excuses for either Riverside or Hutchinson. But what if, Darren? What if there were some guys who were like, yeah, whatever, I already got my scholarship. This game don't mean anything. I mean, it's a banner, man. It's a banner. And how proud are you going to say that, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, this is my ring. I won a national title. I won this. Because we go through our entire careers playing for something, you know, for a ring, and my gosh, man, you win whatever ring you can. So I don't know if that was some of the mentality of some of those players at Riverside or Hutchinson. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe. I don't know. But it's true. After 5 months, I mean, Taryn, I know the process, brother. You know what I mean? Like, we'd start up in January with training, early conditioning. First week of the semester, Taryn, go out there and ball out. Ball out, brother. Go out there, condition, lift, January, all the way through February, through March, and then in April, we started spring football. It was either April or May, but usually you go all the way through April with getting on the field, and you have practices that are, you're just getting back in the groove. May, of course, starts, and you get spring football, where it's, of course, mandatory practices. All of them are mandatory, but I'm just saying, they're on the field. We're doing more stuff. We're doing more football stuff, plays, and, a lot of stuff, man. But it's crazy because, you get into the summer, and now it's summer football, and it's way more intense. You're competing. You've already started competing for a place. You've already started competing for a position all throughout the summer, from the spring. Then you compete all throughout the summer. Dude, we're already a year and a half in. We're already half a year in. 6 months in already, and we're going every single month. We're on it. And then you get into August. We get the pads, and now we're hitting each other for a full month straight. That gets very tiring. Camp is one of the most excruciating things a human being could ever go through, because you're hitting each other every single day. The only day of rest you get is on Sunday, and you just literally sleep all day and try to do some homework whenever you start the semester. But usually sometime in August, but you're just going at it. It is hard. Everything hurts. You're talking about my little pinky toe on my left foot is hurting. I mean, Taryn, everything hurts. Everything. It is just hurting. But you go out there, you man up, you play, you keep playing the game. And before you know it, dude, September starts. You in a full month of, okay, let's recap now. We've been conditioning, lifting, doing the thing, January through April-ish, around there. We start competing in mandatory spring practices. As I said, they're all mandatory in college, but you're competing in there in May. Then we're competing like crazy all throughout the summer. Then we start hitting each other for a full month. It's competition beyond competition. Now we're getting into September, where the actual season starts, Taryn. Now the season starts. Yeah. We've been through all of that, and the season's just starting in September now. And I get it, this is every sport, but now we're going hard, and we're smacking each other around, all throughout the season. And you're hitting other teams now. And dude, the regular season, it concludes usually the first week, second week of November. But then there's playoffs, Taryn, and if you're that damn good, you get there. And guess what, Taryn? You ball, and you fight through the playoffs, and you fight, and you fight, and you fight. By December, you've already worked through a full 6-7 months of just on the field conditioning, competing, tearing your body down, building it back up, weight room, all that good stuff. A full-on month of destroying each other in August. You've went September, October, and November, half of November, with competing with you against your team every single day in practice, and then on to games on Saturday. Now we're going into the bottom half, or the second half of November, and you're another month basically gets added on all the way to December, the middle of December, and here we are, the first weekend or second weekend of December. Taryn, realistically, all these college players right now, junior college players, you get a few weeks of rest, and then right when school comes back in January, it's back on the field to start competing again and conditioning. Darren, that's a lot, brother. I mean, okay, I know I did it, okay? I did it, and I loved it, and I enjoyed it. But I've never gotten that far, of course, for state titles. But usually we're off by November. We got the lifting and everything, small practice, or just lifting and conditioning stuff, but nothing very big after November. And, you kind of just get at least two-ish months, right, Terry? You know what I mean? 2-ish months. And you start the off-season stuff early, what you do in January. And you basically do that stuff from November through December. And you get some weeks off. You get a nice big break. If anything, Taryn, I mean, my gosh, my seasons were January all the way through that, November, the middle of November or second week of November. Then we were back on the field in January. We got a little time to rest up and our bodies rejuvenate them and everything. These guys that got to play in that game, they get a couple weeks off and it's right back to the grind, or they transfer out to wherever they're going. Darren, do you think it was some of the effort mentality of whatever, I'm going here, I don't care about this game? Or do you think it was, oh my gosh, we're dead? I mean, or do you really just think, the conditions were sucky for Riverside and Hutchinson just had a tough game? I mean, what do you really think, man? I mean, do you think that argument's plausible that my buddy was making in the text with me this week? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, to me, I think it's tough to really determine that. I think Riverside, they were undefeated, they were battle tested, they faced some really tough competition. I think they were really prepared going into this game. It's just that when it came to the field conditions, I just think that in the weather conditions, I just think that they were derailed and they were basically neutralized. And San Mateo really loves to run the ball. Like, that was kind of the thing. You have to slow down the run game, and it showed in the opening kickoff. I think that if Riverside had stopped the run game or slowed it down to a point where San Mateo wasn't getting big chunks and they didn't jump out to that 21-point lead, I think Riverside would have had a boxer's chance. I think they would have been able to possibly keep up, but unfortunately for Riverside, they fell behind 21-0. And when you fall behind by that much, it's really tough to win a game. So overall, I don't think it had anything to do with conditioning. I mean, you can't really prepare yourself for rain and whatnot. I mean, obviously you can, but you can't prepare yourself to try to counter weather conditions and whatnot, because that's just an unnatural thing. So again, this is obviously the worst feeling in the world for athletes at Riverside, but it's not the worst feeling in their lives. But so I think Riverside will come back strong. They're a consistent program. I think that they're going to learn from this loss and pass it down to the next generation and say, we've been here the last year, fell short. And for the players that were on last year and this year's team that fell short, I think that they're going to pass it down to the incoming freshmen and say, hey, we fell short in this national championship game. It's a stinging feeling being an athlete and losing on the big stage. But we don't want that to happen to you. You have to work really hard for Coach Kraft and for not only your school, but for your city as well, and for all of Southern California. So I think it was just more so of the game plan that San Mateo had. They just played some smash mouth, old school, run the ball down your throat type of ball that Riverside unfortunately was not ready for. But again, it doesn't take away from the great season that Riverside had. They're still the best team in Southern California. It's just that San Mateo just had the jump. They got the jump on them early and often. And being down 35-0 at halftime, there's only a handful of teams that can come back from that deficit. And Riverside is sadly not one of those teams. And also San Mateo, not to go off topic here, but San Mateo did get a shout out from the San Francisco 49ers in terms of winning their first ever state championship. So that was kind of a cool thing.
That's really cool. The Niners would do that. And well, speaking of not coming back, there was a team that did come back last week, Taryn, and they almost did it last night. But there's a team wearing red that closed the door, slammed it shut. The Stag Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great game it was. Unfortunately, I could not get the live call. I had some things to take care of yesterday and was a little too busy for it. But, man, it was a great game. And, dude, this game started out complete 1,000% dominating form from North Central. Dude, this thing was 20-0. Crazy, right? 20-0. In the entire game. Oh my gosh, it was this beatdown. But 20-0 heading into the fourth quarter with the crap, like crazy, right? 14-0 heading into the fourth quarter, 20-0 with just a few moments into the fourth quarter, and before you know it, man, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. 27-0 to be precise. Sorry. Just to think, when this game was all but over, all right, I don't know. I just told myself, well, it's going to be pretty ugly moving forward in this thing. But, I don't know why the score is all jacked up. The box score is kind of all jacked up here on NCAA.com. My apologies. But going off of that, going off of what I actually saw, Mount Union would score their first touchdown in the fourth quarter, making it like 21. I want to say 21-7. Okay. After that, we would get this North Central team getting a little stunned, and guess what? Freaking Mount Union would come back, man. They would get a deep freaking throw. The season was basically over. There was one point in this game where I think North Central was actually up 28-14 or something like that. And my goodness, dude, freaking Mount Union tossed the ball way down deep. And it's the same thing that happened last week. Mount Union actually was down pretty heavily versus Wartburg. And they freaking came back and won it at home to even get to this game. And stunned Wartburg. Mount Union just gets it done, man. They freaking earned this game. And they did it with a deep pass down the field on like fourth down, I think, where the game could have been over. Well, Mount Union does it again in this game. And they freaking scored. Made it a game. But at the very end, North Central was like, nope, sorry, homeboy, not going to happen. They scored another touchdown of their own. Regardless, Mount Union would score again and make this thing 28-21. And in efforts to get the ball back, they would fail. Unfortunately, they would drop this one. And, well, we have ourselves a national champion to crown, and unfortunately for Modern Day, they would drop. Sorry, Modern Day. Unfortunately for Mount Union, they would drop it. But fortunately for North Central, they would earn it, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to the 2022 NCAA Division III Stag Bowl champions, the North Central Cardinals. What an amazing game this was for those guys, winning it 28-21. Their coach was just so appreciative of his players after the game was over. I mean, they celebrated and they were going crazy. This was an amazing season. They put the stamp on an amazing season, and 15-0 they would go. Just what a process, man. Mount Union is just a team that, I mean, they could have moved up 3 times already, in my opinion, with as good as they've been. They've been in this game consistently since like 1993. They've been around this game for all of those years. We're talking almost 30 years of being all over Division III football. And you know what, though? Congratulations. North Central a couple of years ago, they won it all. Really cool. Their quarterback and receiver, I think, would graduate and sail into the sunset together, scoring one more touchdown as they would destroy Wisconsin Whitewater. And that was the last play of the game. It was something special for them. Well, guess what? Here they are again, riding off into the sunset. Another title for these guys. And it's just so much congratulations to them because, you know what, man? They earned it. And they had a very good year. It just looked like it was going to happen for them. Earlier in this game, they were dominating. Mount Union fought. It was a valiant effort, man. They fought, but 14-0 at the half. North Central was leading it. I mean, it's just, once again, the comeback was not complete. But second title in program history, and their first since 2019. You gotta give it up to this team. So, what are your thoughts on that game there, Taryn?
Yeah, it was an absolute amazing game for North Central. I think they got the early jump on them, and again, this is another case where you have to start strong, and I think that North Central started strong, and for them, it's nothing against Mount Union, but I think North Central just came out with a better game plan. And for Mount Union, they made it a battle. They came out in the second half, but honestly, you have to play a full 4 quarters if you want to win a national championship. And for North Central, it got a little dicey, but they were able to weather the storm and pretty much ride the ship all the way to the end. So I honestly would have picked Mount Union, and thankfully I didn't. Otherwise, North Central fans might have probably been in my mentions or my notifications. So I do got to give a congratulations to North Central on their championship, and props to them. I did not think that Mount Union was going to lose, but even the best fall down.
Absolutely, Taryn, and it was a beatdown, man. I mean, from the start, from the get go, it was kind of one sided. But I got to read this real quick. This was really cool, and it just goes to show you. I mean, great articles here on NCAA.com. This was written, I'm not sure who by who, but it is on NCAA.com. And this is last updated on the December 16th of 2022. But North Central wins the 2022 Stag Bowl 28-21 over Mount Union. It says here that North Central rode its record-breaking running game to yet another victory, completing a perfect 15-0 season to win its second national championship in program history. The Cardinals took down Mount Union 28-21 in Annapolis, Maryland, to win their second Stag Bowl since 2019. Running back Ethan Greenfield, who was a complete beast, man, racked up 119 yards and a touchdown on the ground, while quarterback Luke Lenan, I believe, Lehnan, added 98 rushing yards of his own while throwing for 3 scores as well. Awesome, right? And yeah, man, it says here, like, just what a great. And by the way, quarterback Luke Lenan, I'm sorry. No, Ethan Greenfield is actually the Gagliardi Trophy winner, which is basically the Heisman of Division III. Congratulations to him, man, this year, and he definitely showed every bit of it. But what an amazing season, man, and just hats off to this young man, Ethan Greenfield. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to try to play football somewhere, maybe overseas, or screw it, man. He can try to enter. I don't know if he'll, invites to the draft, or, hey, Ollie Marpet got in, okay? He got, invited to the draft, or to the combine, that is. But I don't know. We'll see. Where he goes, what he does, tries to walk on to an NFL training camp, or if he decides to say, that's it for me, no more football, or whatever, who knows. But definitely an amazing athlete this guy is, and just hats off to this team, man. They truly earned it, and it's a very, very, very good team they have there in North Central. So with that said, we're going to take ourselves one more break, and when we get back, we are going to recap, of course. We're gonna chime in there on the NAIA championship. I wish it was televised, but it's not. We're gonna get you ready for what's starting in a few minutes here, the D2 National Championship. And of course, we're gonna be talking about the FCS and a little bit of bowl season coming right up. You're listening to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America. What if I told you, in all other states, basketball is just basketball? In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins, the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar gold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of the sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we've got you covered. More than cornfields, more than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
Welcome back, football fans. All right, you guys. So we are back at it, and this is a good little game at the moment we got going here, of course, in the NAIA Championship. It is currently 0-0. Kaiser taking on Northwestern College. And, well, Taryn, we got a team, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think either of these teams have ever won a title. Did you see that too, or no?
I haven't seen that, no.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that said it. But, yeah, man, we have two teams going head-to-head here. Extremely solid NAIA teams. This year, like I told you, battle-tested beyond belief, man. And really excited for these two teams as they go head-to-head. I mean, my goodness. Like I said, Kaiser completely 1,000% just looked so strong going into this game. They would defeat a very good Morningside team and a very good Grandview team. And now here they are getting ready. Well, they're already in it right now. And you know what? It's very, it's a hell of a game so far. And you can only hope that it's going to continue to be a hell of a game so far. And then we have here a Northwestern team who knocked off last week, and this was pretty cool, actually. Northwestern, a few weeks ago, that is. Northwestern, would pillage their way past a Indiana Wesleyan team. My goodness. Northwestern played about as well as they could, earning an amazing victory here, 38-7 in the semifinal over Indiana Wesleyan. And, once again, two teams playing, only one wins it. Currently 0-0 right now, probably somewhere in the early second quarter. But, yeah, Taryn, you got anything for us in those live stats you're taking a look at?
Well, here's my thing for Kaiser and Northwestern. This is becoming quite the game. And I'm thinking for you, I'm wondering, is this going to be an actual an actual like defensive game? Because I know you love defensive games. It looks like Kaiser has thrown an interception, which is a big fat NO, which is sad. I think both teams. No, it's just Kaiser has Kaiser. They've thrown the interception, and yeah, this is kind of an offensive slow matchup. It's only 5 first downs per team, both of which are 50% on third downs. It's looking. This one has the one thing is that the other team, Northwestern, is dominating time of possession. but they're not doing anything with the ball. And currently, Kaiser has the ball, and we'll see what they currently have going on. And it looks like they are punting. It doesn't look like it. All I'm seeing is the live stats action, and they probably they're near the second and goal line on the 5 yard line of Northwestern. So Kaiser is threatening to score. So I imagine they just need like a good little. Okay, now it's a face mask penalty from Kaiser. So now it's a face mask penalty on Northwestern. So now Kaiser gets a fresh set of downs, and then it's the ball's now at the Northwestern 2, and it's only a matter of time before Kaiser punches this ball in and breaks the scoreless draw or the scoreless tie. So for those that were hoping for a 0-0 game, well, I am sorry to say, it's in. Marcus Burgess goes in for the 1 yard touchdown, and Kaiser is up 6-0 with 4:51 remaining, pending the extra point.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you very much for that. And sorry I put you on the spot there, brother, but you did a really good job getting that underway for us. Well, Kaiser is on the board, and you know what, man? They have, I don't know how to pronounce it either, Kaiser, but I'm just going to call it Kaiser. But they have done an amazing job this season, and well, they're there in the end zone. This team actually, Taryn, taking a look here, good old Wikipedia, but taking a look here, Taryn, a couple years ago, Lindsey Wilson, I don't know if you remember the COVID year, all that craziness that happened, but Lindsey Wilson would actually defeat Northwestern in the national championship 2 years ago. So this is Northwestern's second appearance ever in this game, and they would lose 45-13 2 years ago, once again, to Lindsey Wilson. And last year they would not get back, as Morningside would defeat Grandview last year. But here we go, man. Kaiser's their first year ever getting there, and Northwestern's second year, second time that is, and this is in the last 3 years. So yeah, I mean, pretty cool to see that, and yeah, we'll continue to give you updates as we go. But of course, getting ready to get underway right now, Taryn. We are ready to rock and roll for the Division II National Championship, and that, of course, is Ferris State taking on none other than a team that I feel has also been battle tested all year long, Colorado School of Mines. And, well, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is Colorado School of Mines' first appearance here. Ferris State, of course, pretty cool, man. Ferris State, they could go back to back. This is a chance that they got knocked off earlier this year, Taryn. Dude, they got knocked off by a team that we applauded heavily for knocking off a champion. But Ferris State would lose to Grand Valley State. And wouldn't you know it, Grand Valley State would meet up with them again in the playoffs. And this time Ferris State said, hey, remember us? Knocked them out, made it all the way back to the championship, and here they are again. Darren, this is a pretty good storyline to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I would like to see Colorado Mines win their first national championship. As a matter of fact, I'm taking them. I like taking the underdog or the first timer. Give me Colorado School of Mines.
I'm with you, Taryn. That's nothing against Ferris State, but dude, it'd be kind of cool to see some freshness get underway. And yeah, dude, this looks like a heck of a team, a heck of a game here that should be played. Let's take a look here and see what NCAA says for this game, because this is going to be a solid one. All right, so courtesy of NCAA.com, let's take a little bit of a look here and see what they're saying. A little article here at NCAA.com. So here we go. So it says Colorado School of Mines, Ferris State set to meet for title. This was written last Saturday on December 10th, 2022 at 3:40. And it says here, we have our title matchup. Defending champions Ferris State will meet Colorado School of Mines for the D2 football title after the two picked up semifinal wins on Saturday, December 10th. It says here, yep, well, here's the... what are these? That's kind of weird. But all right, so I guess there's little recaps here that they have. But congratulations to both these teams who did it. I thought there was going to be more to this article, but there wasn't. Regardless, yeah, man, Colorado School of Mines, and this is something that I like a lot is that Division II doesn't really have a juggernaut. Division III, it's kind of slipping. It was Mount Union for a while. Then, Mary Hardin Baylor got into the mix. They started playing pretty good as of late. We have now North Central. They popped in and they started playing really, really, really well. In D1 AA, you got freaking North Dakota State that needs to move up already. But now we're getting a little bit of variety with South Dakota State. I like that. Now we're also in the NAIA. There was never really a juggernaut either. Marion did it for a couple years in the mid-2000 teens. Then we had here Morningside get on a little bit of a high horse, and now we have two new teams playing in this game for the most part, and kind of cool. But in Division II, there's really nobody. There's really not since we've been covering this game. I mean, the first year we covered it was when it was a couple years back when Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who I think is now an FCS team, by the way, played West Florida. And, it's really cool to see that, man. And I like the variety in Division II and certainly good football. But yeah, Colorado School of Mines and Ferris State just kicked off, by the way, right now. So we'll see who wins it there. But, Taryn, we got to get into the FCS real fast, man. Last week, it happened. We have one team. Well, we have two teams, of course. North Dakota State. And I'm sorry for last week. This past week. Incarnate Word, man. Taryn, this team, of course, starting very low divisions. They made it all the way to the semifinal and took on the juggernaut that is North Dakota State. Taryn, it was a heartbreaker for Incarnate Word, but a nice victory for North Dakota State, 35-32. The Bison are heading on to the national championship being played on January 8th. And today, kicking off in just a few hours, we have here South Dakota State taking on Montana State. South Dakota State, they've been there many times. Will they go and take on? Because don't forget, Taryn, just like the D2 championships earlier this year, remember, we talked about this, South Dakota State would knock off North Dakota State in the regular season, taking the number one crown from them, taking away from their rivals. And kind of cool, we saw D2 were in-state rivals. Grand Valley, of course, Grand Valley State, would knock off Ferris State. Will it happen at the FCS level too, Taryn, except for at the championship level, where Ferris State would meet up with Grand Valley State and be like, sorry, y'all, we're taking that number one back? Is that going to happen here where South Dakota State defeats Montana State and gets back and defeats or falls to North Dakota State? Or will it be this time the opposite story where South Dakota State wins it, and this time steps out of the shadow of North Dakota State, not only beating them once this year, but twice, and the second game being in the biggest stage of them all at this level? Or, Taryn, will Montana State say, hey, guess what? We lost. We got blown out last year by North Dakota State. This year, we're coming back for a vengeance. We're coming back with a vengeance, and we're going to win this thing and defeat that team and become champions this year of the FCS world. Or will North Dakota State reign supreme and win like their 50,000th title in the last 10 years? I'm just kidding. What do you think, Taryn? What you got, man?
So this one's going to probably be down to the wire for me. I think it can go either way with Montana State and South Dakota State. I don't know Montana State's lone loss off the top of my head, as well as South Dakota State's lone loss off the top of my head, but I would go with South Dakota State as the fair possible winner. I think they just have so much more experience, and they know they lost to Montana State last year at this stage of the season. So they obviously want a little revenge, especially for those players that were on last year's team. That's probably in the back of their mind right about now. But those two really have to, again, it's just going to come down to who strikes early and often first, because you can't afford to fall behind way too early, and you just can't afford to basically make mistakes at this stage of the season.
Agreed, Taryn. I just, oh man, my heart goes out to Incarnate Word. I had a good friend of mine, Kristen Espinoza. He used to be on the show for just a little bit on College Edition. And him and I met at CBU, and he remember one time he even told me like Incarnate Word, like he's like, yeah, man, that team is up and coming, and they've, it was really cool like seeing them now in action, and here they are, dude. They're in the FCS, and they just barely lost an amazing game to North Dakota State, who have been the giants the last couple of years. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, come on, I mean, crazy, right, Darren? You gotta love it, man. You gotta love how good Incarnate Word has gotten. I mean, all of these teams have humble beginnings, but it's just kind of cool that I would know theirs, at least from what I understand, after what Christian told me years ago. But I'll tell you right now, this team over here, this Incarnate Word team is on their way. And honestly, whoever wins it tonight, between these two, Montana State and South Dakota State, my gosh, what an amazing year for both of them. Sucks they both can't win. You know what I mean? Like, it's an amazing job for both these teams. And really, really, really good football being played by the both of them. But yeah, Darren, as much as I don't want to say this, I'm gonna have to go. And by the way, we're underway. Colorado School of Mines and Ferris State. So the game is officially on my TV over here. I'm tuned into that. But Taryn, I'm going to have to go with South Dakota State winning this game. And I think South Dakota State's going to do it, dude. I think this is their year. I think they're going to step out of the shadows of North Dakota State and say, we're not in your shadow no more, North Dakota State. We're going to freaking smash you guys. And honestly, I'm going to go Jacks. I don't think they're going to smash them, but but I think the Jacks are going to pull this thing out slow, very, very slim. But it's going to be a good game, man, and we'll see how it works. But with that said, my goodness, can't believe it's already been over an hour and a half. We can just fly on this show, can't we, Darren? My gosh. But all right, so last but not least, we are getting into bowl season here in the FCS. My goodness, here we are. In the FBS, but really quick too at that double level. Sorry about that. We have underway already. Jackson State and NC Central in the Celebration Bowl. That game is already underway. And Coach Prime's his last game at Jackson State, and they're leading 14-10 over NC Central. Really great game here in the Celebration Bowl, so we'll see how that one goes. But yes, Taryn, we are now officially into bowl season, and yesterday we would officially kick it off, and there were some pretty good games, man. I'm very happy with what we've seen so far, and some good stuff. As UAB would start off bowl season with a nice victory. Very good game, Darren. Celia and I were out and about yesterday. We got our little kitty spaded, and while she was in surgery, we were cruising around, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun. We had a really good day, and while during that time, I had my Hulu TV on, and it was fun, man. We were enjoying ourselves and hanging out and everything, and well, Darren, yeah, it was a great day of football, but got to say, man, what do you think? What do you think about these couple of games that started us off? UAB earning a nice bowl game victory as they will defeat Miami of Ohio 24-20. And then yesterday, and that was, by the way, in the Bahamas Bowl. And then finishing it off yesterday, only 2 games played, we would have Troy, number 24 Troy, defeating number 25 UTSA in what was another really good game, 18-12 in the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. So once again, UAB wins the hometown lenders Bahamas Bowl, and Duluth Trading will earn a victory Troy will earn a victory in the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. What do you think about those 2 games, Darren?
Yeah, those are some 2 big games. And UAB, you mentioned UAB narrowly escaping against Miami of Ohio. UAB had a big time. I think they had a goal line stand where I think Miami went for 2, and they came up big, and that would have easily tied the game. And UAB just came up big. And sometimes that's how you got to win. You got to win in the trenches. And Louisville is off to a fantastic start in the SRS Distribution Vegas Bowl, as Troy also came up big in a low-scoring affair, 18-12. And okay, UAB won 24-20. I don't know why I but it was probably just a goal line stand on fourth down. Miami went for it on fourth down. UAB stopped them. Game over. And UAB, that's how you win. You got to win the battle in the trenches, and that's how some of these physical teams are going to win games entirely. So, hats off to Troy and UTSA, as well as Miami and UAB on a fantastic pair of bowl games. And if this is how the bowl games are going to start, I'm excited to see what the other bowl games have in store for us. Sorry, got the hiccups.
You're good, Aaron. Absolutely. We have some good stuff already going underway. By the way, Ferris State just knocks it into the end zone right now, Terrence. So Ferris State leads 7-0 here in the first quarter of this national championship. So we shall see how the rest of this goes down. We actually have some NFL action going on today as well. We got some 3 games in the NFL, which is pretty sweet.
Yep.
And
NFL and NCAA.
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place today, guys. We got NFL, NCAA, we got the NAIA going on. So many great games. But, Taryn, talking about the rest of our games for today, man, and we'll just go ahead and conclude here. We do have, of course, as we said earlier, the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. Pretty good game here going on between Florida and number 14, Oregon State, 6-6 Florida, and Oregon State at 9-3. We have the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel, I believe. Washington State at 7-5, taking on Fresno State at 9-4. Rice at 5-7, taking on the 6-6 Southern Miss. Lending Tree Bowl here coming up. New Mexico Bowl coming up later today as well, as SMU takes on BYU. And North Texas will be taking on Boise State. North Texas at 7-6, and Boise State at 9-4 in the Frisco Bowl presented by ServPro. And by the way, both of those teams, SMU and BYU in Mexico Bowl, are 7-5. Who are you taking in these games, Darren? And of course, we already have underway the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Louisville leading pretty heavily, 21-7 here in the third quarter. What do you think about these games here today, Darren? Who you got?
Yeah, thank God I did not make a prediction prior to Cincinnati-Louisville happening. I probably would have gone Cincinnati, but thankfully that didn't happen. Florida-Oregon State, this is a tricky one. I mean, Oregon State has had the season of their lifetime. Well, Florida, they obviously lost to Vanderbilt this year. That says a lot about their season. Though they beat Utah early in the season as well. I'm taking Oregon State in the Vegas Bowl. Washington State versus Fresno State. I want to go with Fresno State, but I'm going Washington State just because of how battle-tested they were in the Pac-12. And I feel Fresno State's a good team, but it just doesn't feel right for them to win the LA Bowl. Rice Southern Miss, another tricky matchup here in the Lending Tree Bowl. I'll take Southern Miss. SMU, BYU. I don't trust BYU this year. They have been very iffy this year.
Oh, what happened, Taryn? We lost you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Like I said, you got my picks: Oregon State, Washington State, Southern Miss, and SMU. And then closing out, I'll take Boise State just because I feel they're the more experienced team. Nothing against the Mean Green, but I just think Boise State. They've always been one of the top programs, not only in the Mountain West Conference, but in a non-Power 5 conference as well. So I will take Boise State just because they have been battle tested. They've been somewhat battle tested, but I also think that them just being a top program that is under the radar, they just don't get a whole lot of love. And I think it's high time we put a little respect on their names.
I am with you, Darren. I think it's going to be some really good games today. There have already started to be some really good games today. And, I'm definitely going to stick with, this pick here. We didn't even get to pick them. But, man, I'm definitely going to be saying Cincinnati wins this one here today. Should be a good one. How this one concludes. But I don't know. I think Cincinnati's going to have it here. Or Oregon State. Give me Oregon State in the Vegas Bowl. Man, that Fresno State and Washington State game is going to be a really good game, but give me Fresno State by a hair. I'm going to say Southern Miss over Rice, BYU by a hair, and though we both love saying Mean Green, I can't even say with a straight face. Good old North Texas, but I'm going to say Boise State in that game. But also this week, Taryn, Monday we got the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Marshall at 8-4, taking on UConn at 6-6. We have on Tuesday, we have Eastern Michigan at 8-4, taking on San Jose State at 7-4. Liberty at 8-4, and that's in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We have Liberty at 8-4, taking on Toledo at 8-5 in the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. On Wednesday, we have Alabama, South Alabama, that is, at 10-2, taking on Western Kentucky at 8-5 in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. On Thursday, Baylor at 6-6, taking on Air Force at 9-3 in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. And on Christmas Eve, on Friday, we have Louisiana at 6-6, the Raging Cajuns taking on the Houston Cougars at 7-5 in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, and Wake Forest at 7-5, taking on the 6-6 Mississippi Tigers in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. That's all going down. And then, of course, next week we'll be getting into Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, when we have Mid-Tennessee State, the Blue Raiders at 7-5, taking on the San Diego State Aztecs, team we know all too well, Taryn, at 7-5 in the Easy Point Hawaii Bowl. But we'll get there when we get there. Any predictions for the week, Taryn, before we get out of here?
I'm going to pick Marshall over UConn for the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Give me San Jose State over East Michigan in the Potato Bowl. Also take Toledo over Liberty. I'll take Western Kentucky over South Alabama. Baylor over Air Force in the Armed Forces Bowl.
We get some real bad connection there with Taryn. Sorry about that, everybody.
Houston over Louisiana in the Independence Bowl. Missouri over Wake Forest in the Gasparilla on my show for SoCal for San Diego State and Middle Tennessee. But I'll take Aztecs.
Okay, that was really weird. Sorry about that, Taryn. Looks like they got some really bad reception, brother. My apologies. Okay, you're back. You are officially back. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering why my app here on my phone is really shady. Anyway, did you get most of my picks?
Yes, sir. For the most part, yes. Really quick before we're out here, yeah, Taryn, I'm going to go the same. I'm going to make some picks here as well. We got our picks for the day in. I'm definitely going to go Marshall over UConn. This is a good one here. Eastern Michigan over San Jose State. I think they're a little bit better. Liberty over Toledo. Southern Alabama over Western Kentucky. Air Force over Baylor. Houston over Louisiana, and Wake Forest over Mizzou. We'll get into San Diego State and Mid-Tennessee in the Hawaii Bowl, and the Easy Point Hawaii Bowl next week. But, Darren, brother, it has been fun. But it's time to cue that music, man, because we're up out of here, brother. How about that? Another great show in the books. Any last comments, thoughts, concerns, anything you want to say, Taryn, before we're out of here, man?
I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Well, I'm with you, brother. So, how about all these diehards, man? Where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at TarynRodriguez1. That's where I post my main content, and that's where you can find me.
Well, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got so much going on right now. Colts and Vikings underway in the NFL. We got bowl season galore. We have here Ferris State leading Colorado School of Mines. The NAIA championship, I think they're still scoreless. Oh, actually, no, I think Kaiser's still leading. But we'll find out more about that next week. And, well, that's going to be that. Any word there on the NAIA game, Taryn? Any updates?
No. Well, hold on. I got to go back there. But I just realized Jeff Saturday and the Colts are playing on Saturday. So...
They better win today, Taryn.
I see what you did there, NFL.
Good one for you, NFL. But anyway, we'll get to the NBA championship next week, man. We'll talk more about the winner of that game. But good stuff going on so far, and let's enjoy our day of college football and some NFL football. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you're having a great day here, enjoying every bit of it. And, well, we thank you for enjoying it with us. Almost 2 hours of high school college football here with us. And, well, and always a great time, my buddy Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for today's show. Make sure to follow us here on Twitter at 3&Out, all spelled out, IESRCE. Follow me, your boy Larry, at ETH53. You can follow us all as a whole at IE Sports Radio, pretty much everywhere on social media. And you can check us out at IESportsRadio.com. I'm on vacation now from work, yay, for 3 weeks, so you'll see a lot of changes. A lot of good changes. I can pay more thanks to these days. Anyway, with that said, you guys, that'll be it. Big ups to our Patreons. Big ups to all of our listeners. Lord Savior Jesus Christ, I think nothing is possible without all of you guys. IE Sports Radio is possible. Thank you guys all so much. We'll see you next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.